Hello and welcome to the Trekitt Podcast, where we talk about everything outdoor related, from kit and locations to stories and the people behind them. Whether you're a walker, climber, mountaineer or just someone that loves being outside, you can find all the kit and advice for your next adventure on our website, which is www.trekitt.co.uk. Or you can actually come and speak to a real person right here in our service centre in Hereford. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Trekitt Podcast. It's Paul from Trekitt here, and I'm very honoured and pleased to have two very special guests with me today. I've got Hazel and Luke from Longtown Mountain Rescue Team. Just a little bit of a backstory. Trekitt has been involved with the team for a number of years, hasn't it?
A long time.
A long time.
A long time.
Long time.
A big supporter of the team.
Yes.
Mark and I, so Mark, my brother, who we used to run Trekitt with, we were both members of the team a long time ago. And we've maintained links with the team and been very proud to do so and to be able to sponsor them and help the team out. So I am really pleased to have Luke and Hazel with me here today. So without further ado, I shall hand over to either one of them. They're both looking absolutely terrified as to who's going to go first. I'm going to ask them to...
Do you want me or you?
Tell us a little bit about themselves.
I'll go first, because yours is a more exciting story than mine.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. You look forward to Luke's version.
Nice.
I know. Go on, just tell us a little bit about what you do with the team, your background, what your interests are, just a little bit of personal stuff.
Okay.
Not too personal.
Not too personal.
Not about that thing.
Not about that thing.
Not that thing.
No, not that thing. So I've been in the team for 26 years. I joined because my other half, Nige, is also in the team, suggested that it might be a good idea. So that's how I came into it. Now I've been team secretary for many years, and I'm deputy team leader now, thanks to this one. My background before that, Nige, my other half, was a big walker. So when we got married, we got into walking, and it sort of went from there.
Right, it makes sort of a natural progression, I suppose.
Yeah, Nige was very keen to... I know everybody says this, and it's a bit twee, but he was very keen to put something back because he spent a lot of time on the hills, and he said it'd be nice to put something back and do something that involves being in the mountains but is also helping other people. Yeah. So that's how I got involved, really. I think
that's how most people do, isn't it? That's how most people gravitate towards the team.
Yeah, there's sort of a common theme in team members, wouldn't you say? Well, you would know, Paul, as well as we do, having been in the team. There's a common theme that people want to do something for other people, and I think unless you've got that, you don't stick with it particularly long. But if you've got that, then you want to work as a team, and you enjoy being out there in all sorts of weather.
All sorts of weather, as I well know. Yes. As we all well know.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool.
Yours is more exciting than mine.
Oh.
Well, not really. I grew up in a council house which backed onto the Bloringe. So,
all right,
my playground, from the age of 10 was the hill. It just, it progressed from there as far as walking was concerned. The seed was sown for mountain rescue on a charity walk that my two brothers and I did. It was the Three Peaks, the national Three Peaks, but we walked between, and we walked home. And my stint for the day was Glencoe, and I was walking on the road through Glencoe when an RAF Sea King landed in a glen, and the winchman ran over to me, thinking that I was the missing person that they were looking for, and that sowed the seed for mountain rescue for me. And it wasn't until about a year or so later that I walked into Trekitt's shop in Abergavenny.
That was a long time ago.
It was, yeah. And your dad, Dick, recommended a jacket I was looking for. And while I was there, I saw information on mountain rescue, and that was it. That was it.
So it's all down to your dad.
It's all down to my dad. It's all down to my dad.
Yeah, it is. Everything.
Everything.
Me.
Yeah. Mark,
mountain
rescue. Luke.
There we are.
Yeah. God bless his soul.
Yeah.
God, do you know what, Luke? I think that story of the Three Peaks could be a separate podcast in itself. I can't believe you walked between each peak and then you walked home.
You can see why I brought him along, can't you?
Yeah,
He's got some fabulous stories.
The story behind that is that at the time my brother and my mother were suffering from cancer.
Right.
And my brother, the big hill walker, trying to keep fit, came home one day and said, I remember I was in the garage, and he said, how about we raise some money for cancer research? And he mentioned 3 peaks, and I said, yeah, but 3 peaks. He said, yeah. He said, but let's walk between, and then we'll walk home from Snowdon. So I said, we're up for that. And that's what we did. So, yeah, it's, between the 3 of us, we walked about 16 mile a day, and took us 18 days.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think, like I said, that could well be a whole podcast in itself. I'm sure there's some great tales coming from that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the other thing we should probably introduce is Longtown Mountain Rescue itself. It's named after the village in the Golden Valley, isn't it?
Yes.
And do either one of you want to just explain how Longtown Mountain Rescue Team came into being?
Shall I do that bit? You've got the more exciting tales. I'll do the factual stuff. You can do the stories.
No.
So, Longtown Mountain Rescue Team started. John Van Lawn was the warden at the outdoor centre, or ran the Longtown Outdoor Centre, and Northamptonshire County Council at the time owned it. I know his daughter. I know that because I went to school in Longtown.
Right.
So completing the loop. Anyway, in 1964, they decided that they'd get together to help, because lots of people got in trouble on the mountains, and they'd come to the centre and say, can you help? So the local farmers and some of the local mountaineers would go and help. So they decided they'd formalise it and make it into a mountain rescue post, and they had stretcher and various kit. And then in 1965, they actually started the team. And the team's had an interesting history, like a lot of the local mountain rescue teams. The vehicles were stored at people's farms. There wasn't particularly regular training, but it's developed over the years. So now, obviously, we've got a base in Abergavenny. We've also got vehicle storage at US Harold. But that's where it started from. So again, it was people's desire to help informally, and then it went on to a more formal basis.
Yeah, it's kind of, you hear sort of folklorish type stories of just like-minded people who are hill walkers and mountaineers who just have this will and desire to help people.
Yeah.
And I guess in those days, it was very much a bit of a ragtag bunch of people who just got on with it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like you say, no formal training as such.
No, they just went out and did what they could to rescue people.
Yeah, just there to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was people like Mike Ely who was involved in it. I'm sure you remember Mike Ely.
Yeah.
John Van Lawn sticks in my mind. There's other people who are local farmers as well, who spent their life growing up on the mountains, so they knew the mountains like the back of their hand, so they could go and help as well. So
yeah, but now it's a very different thing, isn't it?
It's very different.
It's almost, I can't use the word professional because it's not a professional organisation, but it's run very professionally, isn't it?
That's the standard we have to sort of get to. Training is formalised. Casualty care training is very formal, isn't it? We have standards we need to meet, all sorts of different courses. We have party leader courses, search field skills courses. That takes a bit of saying. Yeah. And search manager courses. So there's all sorts of different things.
Casualty care exams.
Yeah, that's always a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. And things have moved on since I joined the team in '93, so 30 years next year, and mobile phones are hardly being used when I joined, and look where we are now.
No, absolutely.
They had tin cans and a bit of string, didn't they?
Absolutely, yeah. And some people are more reliant on the mobile phone now than a compass and map. So.
We'll get onto that, Luke. Don't worry. We got some good questions about that kind of thing. I thinking back to my time in the team, the thing that really sticks in my mind was the quality of the medical training, the first aid training that we had. I think Tim Potts was
still with us.
And he was fundamental in introducing that, wasn't he?
We owe a lot to Tim.
Phenomenal training, absolutely phenomenal training, and that really sticks with me. I think that was the thing that kind of, I wouldn't say impressed me, but just it showed the professionalism of the team. Because it was almost transitioning from that kind of
informal
mates clubs. We're going to get out and help people into that professional organisation.
I think Tim is. Well, you know Tim as well as we do, but Tim's standard of training has stood us all in good stead, but not only from a team point of view, but on a personal level, because we can all recount tales of where we've helped family members or just people that we come across in the street or accidents on the road, and that's all thanks to Tim.
Yeah. No, I still, you know, if there's a small medical emergency at home, I kind of joke, I switch into MR mode.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get that mentality, don't you? That you switch into a mode.
You never lose it, do you?
No,
once
absolutely.
you've been taught it.
Yeah, it's a life skill. Okay, so let's talk about how. I mean, I was a former member. You guys are still members of the team. So how do you become a member? How do people? Do you get inundated? Is there a waiting list? I mean, what happens nowadays?
You can do that one.
Yeah. Well, there is a waiting list. But to apply, if you're interested, it would be visiting our website and moving on from there. There's a bit of a waiting list at the minute, but we're gradually getting that down and bringing new members on, quickly. In years gone by, they'd have to wait 2 years, maybe 3 years, but we're bringing people on quickly now, and it's not a case that you need to be a Chris Bonington, Doug Scott.
Well, that's just as well, because they're really old men now and they'd never get up a mountain.
Yeah, well, my heroes. Anyway, so it will teach you skills that you need. You just need basic. If you've got basic skills and you're interested enough, and you soon get found out if you're not. Yeah. And we'll support and bring people on. So
when you say basic skills, do you mean like map reading, hill safety?
I think it's mountain awareness and being safe out on your own. Yeah, absolutely. Just being able to look after yourself in the mountain is the main thing. So an understanding of that, really.
You'd expect people who are applying to be regular hill walkers, mountain users.
Yeah, and have basic map reading skills, so that if they could find their way in the mountains and know really roughly what kit to take with them and how to survive, really.
And I guess the kind of people who are applying are those kind of people anyway.
Tend to be. We do get some who not quite. I mean, I'm a prime example of that. Many years ago, I didn't have as much, well, certainly not as much mountaineering experience as you, but if you want to learn, Luke's right, if you want to learn and you're committed to it and you're prepared to give it the time, because it is time consuming, it is a big draw on time, so you have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, then you won't do it. Yeah. So, but if you're willing to do it, then no reason why not.
And you've got the time to do it too.
This is what I was going to say. Is time, and it was kind of one of the reasons why I had to bow out, because I had a young family and a growing business, and time pressures were difficult. So, what would how much time would you dedicate to mountain rescue a month, for instance?
Well, we've got a 2-year rolling training program, but obviously when you start, you have to, and so then you have an assessment. So it's more full on when you start, isn't it? Because you have to. There's a lot to learn. So your learning curve is literally going back on itself. So training, just the basic training, is Monday evening, a Thursday evening, a full Sunday, 2 weekend exes, which are full 2 days. In the middle of that, you get call-outs and many more evenings training.
That's per month?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it? That's a big commitment, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
And not only a commitment from the person, but the family as well, because it does have an impact on it.
No, absolutely, yeah. I can testify to that. And also, potentially, your employer?
Yeah, your employer has to be very understanding, because you're sat there and we don't have pages anymore, but did you have pages?
No, I didn't have pages.
Right, okay.
No. So they just came in. Coming in.
Yeah. So we used to have pages. We now have a different system to alert, but so your phone goes off and you sat there and it's like, gotta go, and you go and that's it. Yeah. And it's like,
no, it used to be a landline phone call.
Yeah.
Normally early hours of a Sunday.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
No, it's normally the time when you just is wanging down with rain, isn't it? And
it's
middle
cold.
of the night, and it's like,
yeah. So it's a massive commitment. You're going to need some practical hill skills, and most of all, you're going to want to help people. You're going to have that kind of mentality and mindset.
Yeah.
Because it's very much a team thing, isn't it? It's not an individual's.
No, you're nothing without your fellow team members.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. And you've got to have, as you know, you've got to have the trust in your fellow team members too. You can't do everything yourself. You're no good on your own.
No, and I think you alluded to that, Luke, wasn't it? It's people soon get found out.
They do.
If their intentions and their motivations aren't aligned with that of the team. So, you know, if anybody is listening to this and considering joining, it's a good time to think and reflect on why you're doing it and whether you can commit fully to the team.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a waste of your time and resources, isn't it? You know, it's a lot of training.
It is, and it's full on with the training team, isn't it? Well, and the members as well, because everybody takes on board the training, really.
Yeah, you have to have a team ethic. It's not the solo effort is no good at all. And as you say, it's you can't turn up to even one of the sessions and expect to be on your own. You will have a group there.
Yeah, well, it becomes like a big family, doesn't it?
It does.
You know, I mean, we get involved still with the Big Blacks Mountain Challenge, and when I come to those events, I still very much feel like part of the team. It's a very special feeling.
Yeah.
And you guys are always very welcoming, which is great. But it is very much like a family thing.
Absolutely. It's difficult to try and explain it. Excuse me, to people who haven't been in the team, what it's like, because we can go for a couple of weeks not see each other, and then all of a sudden we got a call out, and you're in the mix together. And you have a quick catch up, so you have to be able to pick up where you left off, really, don't you? It is a strange sort of mix, and some people become your lifetime friends. Other people are you still like them, but they're not your friends. But they are your friends, but not to the same degree.
Like in a family.
Yeah, absolutely, it is, and it is that sort of environment.
Okay, so let's talk about the call-outs, because I'm sure everybody wants to hear hairy stories about horrible call-outs and things like that. So, is there one particular story that stands out for either of you in your many years of service?
Well, for me, one of the latest call-outs we had in Abergavenny just about 6 months ago. It was very well publicised. An elderly gent had gone missing from a walk that he'd gone out on a Friday. He had some health problems, hadn't returned. We were called out on Friday, search Friday night for him. Without luck, turned up again on the Saturday morning. In fact, I had a call from the police asking me to meet them in at the bus station in Abergavenny. So I turned up in my role as a search manager to find about 150 people, locals there, who knew this chap and were concerned for his safety. So I ended up manoeuvring people around from our team, taking members of the public out, and also with other search managers like Hayes, working out a plan.
Right.
And it turns out that we returned to the search areas that we did on the Friday night, and with a view to really searching the undergrowth that was around at the time that we couldn't do the night before. And one of the team members found him alive, which was amazing. It was certainly one of the highlights of my time on a team, because it definitely saved a life on that day. And the lad who found him, he went above and beyond. Really, he was on his hands and knees looking through the undergrowth and actually found him there.
Fantastic.
It was great.
Yeah.
So that's one that sticks out. I'm sure you've got one of these.
Yeah, mine is a little bit further away, but it's a gentleman. I'll quote his name because I know he won't mind. John Rubery. He was on the top of Penalt Moor, wasn't it, or Penalt Moor, and he'd been walking with friends, and he had a heart attack, and it had all the ingredients of a mountain incident. So we had a steep pull up with all the kit to get up to him. The helicopter came in to take him off, but there was clag on the top, so we had to belay him down across the rocks to a lower sort of winch point. The helicopter then winched. And one of my memories from that is lying on my back, seeing the helicopter just above, looking like the blaze. It was a Sea King, was just about to touch the side of the mountain. Winched him up, who was team doctor at the time, and John. And he had indeed had a heart attack. And John has been back to visit us many times, hasn't he? He invited us to a service to renew his wedding vows.
Oh, fantastic.
Because he says, without us, he wouldn't have been here. Yeah. He came to present us with our medals, not the ones we've just had, the Queen's Jubilee medals. He came to present it to us, and he showed us pictures of his grandchildren, and he said, without you guys, my grandkids wouldn't have a granddad. So that was really rather touching. He does the BBMC with his daughter every year. So we see him, and the dog, isn't it? The dog as well. Yeah. Yep. So we see him every year, and it's lovely. Yeah.
That's just... Yeah. That's got to be what makes all of the effort, the trudging around in the wet and the cold and the early mornings and the hours and hours of training. Yeah. Just one instant like that can just make everything worthwhile, can't it?
Absolutely.
That's why you do it,
Yeah. Because like Luke said, you've saved a life.
Yeah.
And it's not bigging it up.
No.
You have. Absolutely. Because nobody else, other than a mountain rescue team, would be able to do that in that environment.
Yeah.
And it
makes it so very special, doesn't it?
It does. Absolutely.
Awesome. Wow. Okay, you talked about going up into the hills, weather conditions were too difficult for the helicopter to come in, all that kind of stuff. Is there, it's going to be a really hard one to answer this, I think, but is there, for our listeners, or are there, I should say, get my grammar correct, are there conditions that you really shouldn't go out in?
Oh, that's tricky, isn't it? Yeah. That is tricky. There's times when I think... high winds on small ridges are never a good mix.
No.
Icy winter conditions, if you're not used to it, they can catch you out, even in the Black Mountains. You can be stuck on a ridge, trying to get down into a valley on an icy ridge with no crampons or little spikes, and you're stuck, or no ice axe. And it doesn't happen very often in the Black Mountains, but it can catch you out. So, would you say the same?
Yeah, from my point of view, I think you have to learn your mountain skills somehow. And I don't think there are conditions where I'd say, definitely don't go out. I think it's more important to know your limits and know when to turn back.
And the right kit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, there's that old adage, isn't it? There's no such thing as bad weather, just bad equipment.
Yeah, and it is true.
Especially for you with a group. You're looking out for yourself, but you're obviously looking out for the member of that group who might not be as hill fit or have the skills that you have. Yeah. So it's.
That's a really good point, Luke. I think saying that knowing when to stop, because you go out into the hills, you want to bag a summit, you want to get to the top.
Nobody wants to turn back.
No, you've got a route in mind, and you to turn back almost seems like giving up in a defeat. But they're always going to be there.
Yeah, there's always another day.
There's always another day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very sound advice. And just moving on from that. So what do you think is the common mistake that most people make that generally ends up in a call out?
I think it's preparation, really. I think that you can't underestimate the hills. Even the good weather we've had lately, you can't go out there without
water,
taking water with you.
Yeah, exactly absolutely. That. Big
one. We had a call out yesterday that chap had decided that he was exhausted and he couldn't go on. And I think it's just down to preparation, really. And you can go off and decide, I'll walk to this point, I'll walk to that point, and you have an aim, and can't be diverted from it. And I think that if you're prepared to say, as you say, it'll be there tomorrow. Turn around, come off.
Yeah.
I think that's logical way.
In the preamble, before we started recording, Hazel was impressed with the fact that Luke had got some paper with him with some questions written on. And Luke did mention the 6 Ps.
Yeah. Clearly I failed, but Luke got there.
So I think that kind of sums up, doesn't it, what the approach that you should take to going out into the hills?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 6 Ps.
Yeah.
or should we say 5 P's, because the first one's rude, isn't it?
Don't big him up too much. You'll never get his head up.
Let's say planning and preparation prevents pretty poor performance.
Thank you, Luke. But no, absolutely, sage advice for anyone going out into the hills.
Yeah.
Be prepared, take the right equipment with you, but also be prepared to turn back when it's not going as planned.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. So is there that's another really hard question here. I'm really testing you guys. Is there one piece of kit, or I'll allow you 3? Is there 3 pieces of essential kit?
I've got a good one
that everyone should carry?
You'll like this one.
Go on then.
Actually, it's something that I bought from Trekitt years and years and years ago, and I don't always carry it, but I love it, and it's perfect. It's a North Face windproof fleece. Do you remember you did them in black and the women's had baby blue lining? You probably don't remember that.
No,
come on, Paul.
Hang on. I'll just go back to like years and years of product catalogues.
It's fantastic. But but that's a nice piece of kit. On a serious, more of a serious note, I think good waterproofs on a wet day are always good. There's nothing worse than being wet and cold. Waterproofs, I would say, and a nice warm layer.
For me, I've got a favourite Montane windproof, that's very light and thin windproof jacket that it's first thing in the sack, and it's always there as another layer. And my favourite piece of kit would be a sighting compass, silver sighting compass I've had for years.
You use that to do your makeup, don't you? It's got a mirror on it, hasn't it?
There we are, see.
Is that a Type 54? Is that a Type 54, Luke? With a little mirror on top of the dial.
Yeah. No, it's got a mirror that flips out.
No, Paul, no, it's a really nice compass.
Well, that might be a TD16CL.
God, what a geek.
I'm sure our listeners will put me right, but I'm sure fold out mirror.
Yeah.
That's
hence the makeup
do your
joke.
lipstick.
Yeah. Whilst you're plotting your route.
Yes, I've had all this. Paul. Don't worry, throughout the year, over the years. But yeah, it's a really, it's a really good for once you've sighted something up on it, even if it's hopping across the moorland there, or of fixing a bearing, you've got that in your hand, and you can easily walk on that bearing with a sighting compass than you can with a normal flat one. So.
I know, good compass skills. Good compass skills. I remember traipsing about top of Langattock Moor.
Oh yeah, we still use Langattock.
Trying to find those.
The Chartist Cave, by any chance?
Chartist Cave.
Yeah.
But it was also the little white pegs that were hammered into the ground that we had to do the micro navigation to find in horrendous conditions with a partner.
Yeah. Trying not to go down a sinkhole.
Trying not to go down the sinkholes or fall into a bog.
Yeah.
And you're doing sightings on each other and
leapfrogging each other.
Oh, brilliant. And those are skills that I probably couldn't do it as accurately now, but I can still use a map and compass because those skills are embedded.
Yeah.
It was one of my first exercises on Llanganadon Moor, and I was put with the team leader at the time. And I thought, here we go. And so I took out my map, which was a 1 to 50 map. I took out a compass without a roamer on it.
Oops.
And he just took me aside. He said, maybe you need to change your compass and a map. Yeah. But as you say, it's so difficult to navigate on it. There's so many sinkholes there that are not on the map. Huge ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's an interesting place to go if anyone.
If you want to test your navigation, that's the place to go.
Absolutely.
So how do you feel about modern navigation techniques? I will admit that I use an app on my phone, the Ordnance Survey app, just as an aid.
Yeah, there's definitely a place.
GPS.
Yeah, they're good, and also from a point of view of team searching, we can track our route on the map. So we go back to control and say this is what we've done. And it makes it much, much easier then to sort of see from a search manager's point of view.
Okay, so you're using the phone to track your activity on the mountain when you're searching.
Yeah.
So as a search manager, then you can then work out where everyone's been and eliminate those areas, etc.
And how thoroughly that area has been covered. Right. So that is really good. Really, really good.
Yeah. But
But
and there's always a but, isn't
there's
it?
always a but.
You know, if you're totally reliant on that, then and your phone goes down, the battery goes down, and you're in the middle of nowhere, and you're reliant on this to tell you where you are.
Your
consequences
stuffed.
are dire,
You're stuffed. Thank you,
Right.
Hazel. That was the word.
So
you're struggling there.
I was.
map and compass skills have to be honed to really enjoy the hill from my point of view.
Yeah.
Because there's a bigger picture rather than a screen, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that's part of it. And people are too reliant upon it. And I do some part-time work for the Brecon Beacons National Park, and regularly I have people come up to me and saying, I want to do this walk, and all it is a pink line on the screen. Yeah. There are no contours, and do you know how long this is going to take, and do you know the height gain? And well, no, that's the walk, and I read about it, and so these are things that I think are being lost now, and I can easily, everybody reliant upon the phone.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and you're also right in that there is a I don't know. I certainly get a joy from looking at a map and at the terrain, and understanding where I am,
knowing what you'd expect to see as well when you get there.
Yeah, and you learn. With practice, you get to that point where you're looking at a map and you're seeing it in 3D and you understand it.
Yeah.
So but that takes a lot of practice.
It does, and contour navigation is a whole different ball game. But that's very good as well, because you can then read the contours, can't you?
You always end up with one leg longer than the other on contour navigation.
Absolutely.
It's like living in Blaenau.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do people learn those skills nowadays? I mean, I'm going off tangent a little bit here, but it's just occurred to me.
I think they do in the Scouts. We've got a friend who sort of runs a Scout troop, if that's the right phrase, and they get taught them there.
Right.
But I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think probably Duke of Edinburgh.
True. Yeah.
Through schools. Yeah. I think that it can carry on from there. But when I think people think it's so much easier, isn't it? Just turn your phone on, hit the button, and there you are. Yeah. And but it just you get so much enjoyment out of it, as you said, by using your map and compass. And
it's nice to learn the correct way first, and then you can use these.
You can augment your knowledge, can't you?
Yes, absolutely. You can.
It's a backup, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I always find the hardest places to navigate is in rural, farmland.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, up mountaintops, easy, because you can normally see a long way, and you've got defined ridges or peaks or valleys.
And things change on the farmland as well, don't they?
Yeah, but when you're down in the valleys and trying to find footpaths and things, tricky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, sorry about that, Harry. I did go off tangent a little bit. Right. Well, we've talked about the setup of the team. We talked about you guys. We talked about the immense training that goes on and some of the call-outs you've been on. And I think the one thing that we haven't talked about or we haven't mentioned is the fact that you're all volunteers.
We are indeed.
You all do this out of the goodness of your heart. You're not getting paid for this?
No, we don't get paid at all.
No. You're not getting paid. So how on earth does the team run if you're not getting paid? Who's funding this? How does it work? How much does it cost?
Oh, that's a good question. Basically, when you join the team, part of your duties are to fundraise for the team. So, as you know, our biggest fundraiser for the year is the Big Black Mountains Challenge. That is a huge event for us. And obviously, when we had COVID and foot and mouth and we couldn't run it, it's a big loss of income. The team, as you probably can guess, has become more and more expensive to run. You're looking in the region of anything between, depending on what kit we need, 30,000 to 50,000 a year to run.
Wow, and that's literally just to exist as a team.
Yeah. It is. And obviously things wear out, vehicles wear out, new technology comes in, stretchers have to be capable of being lowered over a crag, putting somebody on, so everything has to be checked in good condition. Slings, crabs, radio equipment changes, is enhanced. So all of those things have to be funding. So there's almost like a rolling program of funding all these things. So you're expected to, we do things like tin shaking, people go and do talks to local scout groups, the WI, we get donations from there. People give us donations out of the goodness of their heart. People that we've rescued fundraise for us. We get very little government funding. Occasionally we'll get a grant. If we occasionally do get some grants, but as you know, getting the grant isn't given. It takes a lot of work to get.
There's a lot of work involved in actually getting the grant in the first place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
and on top of that, not every piece of clothing is funded by the team. Obviously, you've got a team jacket, waterproofs, but you buy your own boots.
So you're buying your own personal kit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To turn up, you pay for your fuel. We do have we are reimbursing fuel now because it's so expensive. But there is a cost to the individual as well. But as Hazel was saying, it's a massive part of the team for funding is getting involved with
fundraising.
Fundraising, absolutely. And of course, without Trekitt, we'd be struggling to put on our biggest fundraiser.
Absolutely.
The Big Black Mountains Challenge.
So we couldn't do it without you.
And the bottles that you produced.
Buy a bottle, everyone.
Absolutely.
Buy a bottle.
It makes a huge difference.
And you sell our calendars.
Yeah, and people can, I guess, just make a donation to the team. How do they do that?
They can just go on our webpage and it will guide you to make a donation from there.
Okay.
Or just drop me an email and I'll tell you exactly how to do it.
Send me the money.
And we do appreciate every donation,
whatever
size.
So it's it's a registered charity.
We are registered charity.
Registered charity. Right. Yeah.
So people can gift aid their donations as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know you don't do it for the glory. I know you don't. I know you too well. And I know the thing behind the whole team is helping others. But do you ever get recognised for what you do? I mean, it seems to me, and I know I have background information and background knowledge, having been a former member of the team, that you kind of exist a little bit in the shadows of the blue light services. And do you feel you get the recognition that you deserve so rightly?
Probably not. When you compare us to the RNLI, for instance, you'd imagine the monies that come into that. Maybe it's because we don't push ourselves out there as much as we should, perhaps. But like you say, we don't do it for the glory. We were, really, really happy to receive the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service, which is the highest recognition you can get for charity volunteering. We're proud to go up to Buckingham Palace to receive that. And
that was awarded to the team, to Longtown team.
Awarded to the team.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
It's.
We were trying to find somebody impressive to go and get it for us, but we ended up nobody else was available, so Luke went.
You had to volunteer Luke to go.
And it's got pride of place on the wall in a base.
And rightly so. That's fantastic. That's a fantastic achievement.
Yeah. We were very proud of that.
Yeah. So you should be. So I'd encourage all of you people out there, all three of you listening to this podcast, stick your hand in your pocket and donate to the team, because they are a hugely worthy cause. Right, I'm just going to, we're going to move on to some questions sent in by some of our viewers, listeners out there on Tinternet through our various channels. And this first question, I read it when it came in and I thought, that's a good point. And it's one that's been rattling around mountain rescue circles for a long time, hasn't it? So I'm just going to read it out. It's from Shearer. I won't read it out entirely because there's a word in here that I probably shouldn't use on air. Do you think that people rescued in the mountains who have put themselves into trouble due to not carrying or having the basic kit should be billed for the cost of their rescue? And they go on to say, I'm talking about these expletives you occasionally see on their way up places like Cribgoch in flip-flops. And we've all seen them, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've all been out there.
With Ben Nevis with a pushchair.
Ben Nevis with a pushchair.
Yeah.
Cribgoch in flip-flops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should. Not a word that I'm fond of, but would that work?
I don't think so. I think, the great thing about walking in Britain is the fact that you can pull your boots on, go out, have a great day on the hill without worrying about insurance, without worrying about who's going to come and get you if any, if you fail on any part of the route that you're on. We're all like-minded people. We all love the outdoors, and so we're happy to come out, and we would expect others to help us if we're out. And I think going down the route that most of Europe have got, and I can understand why they would have done it. The helicopters, for instance, every call out would need a helicopter in the Alps and in other areas there. So, but in Britain, I don't think so. And at the end of the day, we're not the mountain police. We're there to help, and we're there to advise. But certainly we wouldn't. I don't think it's.
No, I don't either. And I think whenever we go out and rescue somebody, and a lot of people say, I'm so sorry if you had to come out in this weather. And we always say, don't we? I've heard you say it as well, and I always say it, and then most of the team members say, don't let it put you off.
Yeah.
It's gone wrong, and it's probably gone wrong. It's not your fault, but don't let it put you off. Keep going in the mountains. Don't let it spoil that enjoyment, because that's what we love, and that's what we're trying to get people to do. So by charging them, you think, well, you don't want to put people off. We've had fantastic times in the mountains, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we want other people to do that as well.
Yeah, it's you're absolutely right. It's almost the kind of NHS model, isn't it? It's free.
Yeah.
It's free for everybody.
Yeah.
It's free for everybody, and there's no judgment.
And
there's no policing.
Yeah. And I know it's a very sort of hot topic, but for well-being, mindfulness, all of those things, for fitness, but mental health, there's nowhere better. Being away from your phone signal, just enjoying it, and
No, you're absolutely right. Without worrying about, can I afford the rescue if I trip up? And there'll always be people who are ill prepared. There'll always be people who are perhaps a little ignorant of
But then most of those people say, I'm so sorry, I've learned a lesson.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving swiftly on to this other question, which ties in quite nicely to what you just said about being so nice to the people that you rescue. This is from John Turner, and John says, have you ever, or been tempted to, give anyone a piece of your mind for what you saw as a needless rescue?
Only once. Only once.
Hazel was straight in there.
And it was a hoax.
Well, that's deserved.
And it was, do you remember? It was on the Blorange, and it was a particularly bad night. It was snowing, it was icy, and they had concocted a story that they'd lost their mate, hadn't they? And one of our search managers was down in the base with them, and he was starting to work it out. And I'd gone out on a search area, and we'd ended up in this field near the top of the Blorange. And do you remember, it was like water was frozen underneath, and all of us, without fail, because we weren't expecting it, skidded down, fell over and skidded down this field. So we all got up again, were searching again, thinking this is grim, but we've got to find this lad because they said they left him behind, whatever. Anyway, eventually the search manager got it out of him, and he said, if I were you, I'd own up to me, because he said, if you don't, there's going to be 25 mountain rescuers who are cold, wet, covered in bruises, who, are, when they come down and find out what you've done, then, so...
yes. You better be able to run fast.
Yeah, and that is the only time I can remember that we would have cheerfully slapped them. But,
Yeah, I have to admit, I've taken a leader of a group of children who had not planned the route correctly and had taken in the weather conditions as well. And I did take him aside and say, "You're sure that you're happy with what you've done here?" And realised it then.
Yeah, it's. One of the call-outs that I went on sticks in my mind was I think it was a hang glider pilot that had been reported had come down in a field, and we were out for a good few hours in, again, pretty horrible conditions, because it always is.
Yeah.
Turned out he was in the pub.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's galling, but it's what you do, isn't it? It's what you do.
And you have to go with the right mindset.
Absolutely.
Because if you think, this is a waste of time, you're not searching properly.
Yeah.
And you have to search properly.
Yeah. You cannot make those assumptions, can you?
No, you can't. You have to go with the information you've got.
Good. Right. So the Who fan, I don't know whether that's Roger Daltrey himself or who it is, but it's the Who fan. What is the preferred method of pinpointing a location when contacting Mountain Rescue?
Ooh.
Okay, so is that long? Grid ref? What 3 words? What is the most reliable?
Ooh, that's controversial. Well, let's go to the thing that we can use as a team, which is wonderful. We have phone find.
Oh, hang on. Sorry to interrupt, Hazel. I made a little note on here.
What 3 words?
No, I'm a big fan of what 3 words anyway.
Okay.
Really?
Oh, here we go.
Pinpointing when contacting Mountain. So how do you contact Mountain Rescue? There's no phone number for Mountain Rescue.
Okay, good point.
999.
999.
999. Ask for Mountain Rescue.
Okay.
And
so
it's as easy as that.
Yeah.
You don't need to Google us because I used to have my phone number on our webpage for us, and I've been many a time saying I'm lost, which is fine. We don't mind. Yeah. But 999.
And then you literally just ask for Mountain Rescue.
Ask for Mountain Rescue.
Okay,
and that information will trickle down to us on a log that we share with the police and ambulance service.
Okay, so it's a multi-agency approach.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah, I'm just going to say before Hazel talks about phone find, okay, and you talking about what 3 words, okay.
So I'd save that one for
my
you.
preference is definitely grid reference,
right?
Backed up with a lat long if you've got it, but I can give you a good example of what 3 words that call out the other night. We got a what 3 words location on that in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've had it a number of times, haven't we?
Was that a mishearing of a word or a
misspelling
of a word?
It's slightly wrong. I mean, we've had some where they said, I've looked at it as a search manager and worked out, and it says they're in America. Fair enough. And the police will say, ooh. I said, no, that's no good. But I think where it's clearly wrong then. The difficulty is if you get it and it puts you in, the valleys and the Black Mountains are like the fingers.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you go up the valley road, it takes a long time to come back down the valley road. We've had them where they put them in the next valley over.
Right.
So, and we thought about it and thought that isn't quite right from the description. So, but if we'd have taken it at face value, we'd have been up to the top of one valley, only to have to turn around, come all the way back and round again. So, yeah.
So it's not as reliable as it would first appear.
No.
As marketed.
No, it's not.
Exactly that. And, we talked earlier on about being reliant on your mobile phone. And if you think that, so I won't take a map with me, I won't take a compass with me because I've got what 3 words, and something happens, and those what 3 words put you in Indonesia, then what chance have we got to come and get you?
Not much.
No. But moving on to what Hayes was talking about. Hayes, phone find?
Phone find. So it's something that's been developed by Mountain Rescue, and it's phone find. So basically what we do is we put the phone number of the missing person in there. It sends them a message. They click on it, which can then it fires it back to us and shows their location on a map.
Wow. So that's using the GPS built into the phones.
Yeah. And it's brilliant.
That is brilliant, provided the person can...
It has a signal and their phone will accept it. And it's
their battery's adequate, that they've got a signal, and that they're conscious enough to
press it.
To press the button. But it's a good...
Yeah. It's
reliable.
It saves such a lot of time searching.
Right.
Because if we can pinpoint them, and very often we'll send it twice, because if we send it twice, it's even more accurate.
Yeah.
And then we've got them.
Okay. But old school, grid reference.
Map and compass.
Yeah, grid reference is fine.
It's a bit of a recurring theme here, isn't it,
see,
Luke?
I'm coming across like an old fogey here, aren't I?
But it's because you are, Luke.
Yeah, but you have to be.
It ain't broke. It ain't broke. So they'll fix it.
Absolutely.
And if you've got a map and compass, you can work it out.
Yeah.
You can also describe to us, but giving us a grid reference is a huge thing.
Yeah. So again, relying on the individual's ability to be able to understand how to take a grid reference. Yeah. And knowing where they are on the map in the first place. Yeah, is always good. Yeah. So saves an awful lot of time. Get those skills, people. Are you listening? Get those skills. Okay, another question from Theo M. It's quite appropriate, actually, given the drought that we've been experiencing. What is your preferred water filter or other method of making water safe to drink when out hiking?
Luke, you will know because we went to Corsica and you took one of these with you.
Here's another story, isn't it? But,
yeah.
So Hazel's birthday, let's do the GR20 Corsica. So I'm thinking, right, let's pack light gear for this, and I'll get myself a nice a nice system. So I went for Life Straw.
Okay.
A couple of reasons. One, that they're not-for-profit, and they deliver clean water to children who are struggling. So I took it with me, great bit of kit, filled it up at the start of the day, and it's about, 10 inches high.
About a litre.
With about a litre for you. So yeah,
it's
so with the idea that I'd fill it up and then I'd top it up with streams along the way because they bound.
Yeah.
Turns out that it was one of the hottest summers that Corsica ever had. I hardly came across a stream that was running.
So you had a great product.
So
couldn't use it.
I struggled big time with fluids on that trip.
Well, there's another lesson.
What you need is a Trekitt water bottle.
What you need is lots of Trekitt water bottles.
Yeah, and water to put in it.
And water to put in them,
yeah.
Obviously. But yeah, I mean, water filters generally in the UK are a good option, aren't they? Because you can generally find some
really good.
bit of water, and it saves you carrying litres and litres of water with you, because a litre is a kilo and it's heavy, you know.
It is, and it's sort of on a hot day, it tires you out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But so don't go to Corsica in the hottest weather they've been having, hoping to find bountiful streams gushing out of mountainsides.
Absolutely. So we all get it wrong.
Yes, we all still get it wrong. Yeah, absolutely. Following on from that theme, Anthony Lucio, what are staple items that should be in a hill walker's first aid kit?
Ooh.
That's a good one, really. I think you can buy good little kits for something around £15 that would cover most things. But on top of that, I think Compede for a start, and without
blister plasters.
Yeah, Compede.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other blister plasters
are available.
Adhesive bandage. I think if you're looking if you had a bit of sprained ankle, paracetamol maybe, ibuprofen, and for an individual, and I mean an individual who not allergic, maybe aspirin.
Right.
For obvious reasons, if you have a heart attack or something on the hill, but obviously not to be given to anyone else because you don't know whether they're allergic to those drugs. But I think carrying paracetamol is not I don't think it's a problem.
No, because if you have taken a tumble and but you're okay to walk, you just need some painkillers.
Yeah.
But you can keep going with triangular bandages and so plasters. I think tough cut scissors.
Tough cut scissors, good one. Why would somebody want to take tough cut scissors with them?
Well, there are numerous situations where you could use them, especially if you come across someone who's had a fall and maybe got a leg injury. We use them for cutting to get access to the limb.
Yeah. Duct tape.
So
duct tape.
I was going to say duct tape.
You break your boots or something goes wrong or your rucksack breaks. Duct tape is fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you can pick up a first aid kit, I think, rather than pick individual things out. I think a small kit.
Well, I think as well as you become more and more experienced, you tend to customise those kits that you buy.
Yeah, you do very much.
Like you say, you put in the duct tape, you put in whatever is suitable for you personally.
Things that will double up.
Cling film.
Yeah, that's always a
for
good
instance.
Keep your sandwiches fresh.
Well, absolutely, it keeps your sandwiches fresh, and if you get a burn or a bite, you can use cling film. You can see exactly what's going on. You can keep it clean, keep the wound clean. Would you add anything, Ace?
No, I don't think so. I think that's main thing is blister blister stuff, because that's a common,
but
very common.
I know, but if they've been to Trekitt and they've had a good boot fit, they're not going to get blisters. They weren't going to get blisters, are they?
No, that's very
Absolutely.
true.
No,
very
you
true.
see, prevention.
Far better.
Yeah, it's another good point, Paul. You know, for those hill walkers who are going out for the first time and they come in to buy a pair of boots, it's worth asking questions while they're in the shop.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing's too crazy to ask, is it? I know
we've had some crazy asks, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely. but you know, the people you employ, they have an idea of what's going on out there and can give the right advice.
Absolutely. Well, there's lots of advice out there. There's lots of advice out there.
You find what works for you, don't you? As
Absolutely.
You get going.
Okay, I'm just going to round off now. Just going to finish off these questions with actually a good question from somebody with a very appropriate name. This is from Bob Pringle. Other salty crisps are available. What is the one item of food that you would never be without on a rescue?
Oh,
see, you better go first, Ace, because my dietary stuff.
If it was left to Luke, he'd have an egg.
Yeah.
That's all he eats, and no pasta.
Definitely no pasta.
Definitely no pasta. Everybody takes the mick out of me because I'm always the person who's got 500,000 chocolate bars in my bag.
Yeah, chocolate.
Yeah, but the other thing is, and I do like a nice chocolate bar, because the problem is when you go on a call out, you haven't got a great deal of time. So you haven't got time to make lovely sandwiches and get everything together, or it's very rare that you have that time. So most of the time, chocolate lives in my rucksack because it's just easy. The other thing is, on a hot day, peanuts. Peanuts are really good on a hot day when you're fed up with sweet stuff.
Right.
And you're suffering from a bit of lack of salt.
Yeah.
Really good. Okay. Really good.
I'm going to pin you down on your favourite chocolate bar, Hazel.
Oh, that's easy.
Go on then.
Double decker.
Double decker?
No.
That's a controversial choice.
Yeah,
it's also the favourite choice of my wife.
Really? There you go. She's got
women
a
of
good choice.
taste.
I double decker.
Double decker.
Or a crunchy. But in hot weather, they melt.
Yeah.
So, but you can still drink them. You can still drink them.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
So, slurp them from the packet.
Absolutely.
Well, my
egg, obviously.
Right. Yeah, an egg.
Yes, but lion bars are a staple diet.
Lion
bars and jelly babies.
Yeah,
So you've got to have the jelly babies.
Got to have jelly babies.
And if you're lucky enough to be paid with Mike Jones on a hill, you will have his wife's flapjacks. And
they're good, are they?
Amazing.
Okay.
I have to say, though, it is lovely, just for all the people out there who very kindly offer us food on call-outs. We had one call-out in the middle of the night, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were so fed up with sweet stuff, and a very kind lady had made bacon sandwiches. And it was fantastic, wasn't it? You come
what
back.
A hero.
Would you like a bacon sandwich? Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered all the basic food groups there, haven't we?
I think we have.
We have. Yeah, bacon and egg, Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can get bacon and egg to me anytime.
Yeah,
no problem.
Bacon and egg carbonara.
Yeah. All the carbohydrates are
I probably can't repeat Luke's expression about eating pasta. We'll probably move on from that.
All right, moving on. Well, we should move on. Harry's gesticulating at me that we should be winding this up. So I would just like to finish by saying what an absolute pleasure it has been to have you two here to talk to you.
It's been great to
and
see
us
you.
too,
Yeah,
brought
absolutely.
back lots of great memories for me, and I hope for you two guys as well.
Absolutely.
And just like to say that Trekitt is really proud to sponsor the team, and it's going to be forever. I'm just going to put it out there. It's going to be forever, Harry.
We're very proud of our
news.
connection with you guys, and
it's been good, hasn't it?
It has been good.
It's been great.
And we couldn't do it without you. And I know everybody says that, but we couldn't. Your support has been huge and vital to us.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And all you people out there listening to this, there might be 5 of you by now because you might have called a couple of friends. Get out there, buy a bottle, stick some coins in a tin, get on the website, which is Hazel. What's the website?
Oh, www.longtownmrt.org.uk.
So, like Hazel said, get on the website, get donating. It's really important. These incredible people volunteer their time, their energy, their efforts to make sure that we're all safe out on the hills. So they deserve all the recognition, which they've had through that Fabulous Queens Award, and they deserve to be well funded by all of us who use the hills. So get out there, get your hand in your pocket, And don't have a beer tonight. Put that money you're going to spend on a beer tonight, stick it in a tin or donate it to the mountain rescue team. So I'm going to sign off once again with a big thank you, guys.
Thank you, Paul.
It's been a pleasure. And you guys out there know what to do. If you've enjoyed this podcast, like it, put some comments in the section below, subscribe, you know what to do. It's all that internet stuff. And I'm going to sign off in my usual way by saying thank you very much for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure, and toodaloo.